All right, so let's take a look at section 4.1. Basically, we're going to be writing equations in slope-intercept form. Does anybody remember what that is? Starts out y equals, anybody remember the letters? Yeah?
mx plus b.
Yeah, it's y equals mx plus b. So that was my first question, which you can fill in your box. Okay, we've seen this a couple times now. Y equals mx plus b. Now, when we write our final answer, the x and the y stay right where they are. But we don't leave the m and the b. We fill in numbers for those. Does anybody remember what m is?
Slope.
That's your slope. How about b?
Intercept.
That's your y-intercept. Okay, so m is your slope. We'll get to b in a second. But how do you write slope? It's rise over run. Yep. So if you have a graph, all you have to do is count rise. Think if you let go of a balloon and it rises, it goes up, right? Up and down. So rise, that's the up and down. Run, that's left and right. Does anybody remember how you write it as a formula? It's like something minus something on the top, and then something minus something on the bottom, with x's and y's.
Oh.
Is it?
Yep, Kaylee?
Oh, is y1
So we're starting with y's. I think that's a good start, because the y's do go on top. But what do we do with them? We take and we...
It's y over, no, y2 minus y1 over x.
Yeah, so it's minus, right? So it's, if you have two coordinates, and they ask you to find the slope, okay, you take the second y value minus the first, divided by the second x value minus the first. Are these 1s and 2s exponents?
No.
No, they just mean second y, first y, second x, first x. Okay, so that's nothing new. Okay, we've done all that. And then b is our y-intercept. All right, so you have a spot on your notes where the arrows are. Hopefully you filled in the slope. And slope equals this formula. Okay, you have a line for that.
What's the other one?
And then,
I thought it was supposed to be like that.
yeah, the other one, I think these are supposed to be on the same line where they're both equal.
Yeah.
So the first blank should be rise over run. And then the second one is y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. I think that's what Mr. Roy was going for. Okay, for the next part, this what I'm putting right here, you can just put that on your notes right in the blank spot. All right, so let's say I gave you guys a graph. And I said, I want to find the y-intercept. What's the y-intercept again?
Where the line crosses through the y-axis.
Hey, it's where the line crosses the y-axis. What's the coordinates of that point? That's exactly what I was looking for. It's 0 something. How about this point? 0 something. -2, 0, -3. This one. It's 0 something. So anytime you want to find your y-intercept, the coordinate is always 0 something. Could be 0, 1, 0, -1, but it's always 0 something. Okay, so that's important. Okay? So that means if you ever have a coordinate, this number is always going to be your y-intercept, as long as that's a 0. Okay? So if I gave you a point, 0, 3, that's a y-intercept at 3. Okay? Y-intercept is always 0 something. Any questions on that? All right. So, a couple of things we've talked about before, and I think you guys already have these on your notes. Okay, so if you're given the slope and the y-intercept, a lot of times what we're going to do is we're going to take and plug in the m and the b into this formula. Okay, so if you've already got that on your notes, that's good. It says, you have a blank, it says plug in the slope given for, well, you just did this. What letter does the slope go in for? M. No, there's no A. Not in this one. How about the Y-intercept? For the B. Okay, so on your notes where you got those two blanks, just fill in M and B. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do, we're going to practice. I'm just going to give you a formula that looks like this. And all I want you to do is tell me the slope and tell me the Y-intercept. All right. Or actually, you know what? Maybe we'll do it where I give you the slope and Y-intercept and you tell me the equation. All right, we'll do it. Let's do it that way. All right, so here's a line. Okay, I'm not giving you a picture of it, but I'm just describing it. It has a slope of -3, and it has a Y-intercept of 1/2. Okay, somebody remind me, what is the formula that we use to write the equation of a line? We just did it. Y equals mx plus b. Right? Is that my final answer? No, I got to put some numbers in here. Okay. What two letters am I going to fill in numbers for? What's the first letter I'm going to fill in for? M. We'll worry about what we fill in a second. And the second letter?
B.
B. Okay, so now I gotta look at the problem and figure out, did they give me the information I need to plug in for the two boxes in blue? Right? Yeah. What gets plugged in for the first box? Into that first box, we plug in -3. Right? M is your slope. And Nini, what's B? Yeah, B is my Y-intercept. So you're going to plug that in right there, and that's it. Just fill in the slope, fill in the Y-intercept. So who can tell me my final answer? What are you going to write on your line that says Y equals what? Yeah, go ahead, Maggie. Yeah, Y equals -3x plus 1/2. And that's it. Okay, there's some that get a little harder than that, but that's all you have to do. Just fill in those two numbers. Okay? Any question on how we just did that? All right, let's try a second one. This time the slope is 0. And the Y-intercept, you don't have a spot for example B? All right, so we'll just do this one together. We'll just watch. Okay, somebody remind me, what's the formula again? Yeah, it's always Y equals mx plus b. Okay, what's going to get plugged in for M this time? Shannon? 0. Fill that in for M. What's going to get plugged in for B? It gets plugged in for B. Lisa's? -2. Now, before I do that, does anybody know what kind of line this is? What kind of line has a slope of 0? It's a line that's not slanted up. It's not slanted down.
Vertical.
Well, slanted up and down are still straight. It's horizontal. Okay, anytime you have a line that's has a slope of 0, it's going to be horizontal. All right, so what am I filling in for M? 0. B? -2. Now, what can I do with that? I don't have to leave that as 0 times x. What's 0 times anything? 0 times anything is 0. Right? When you multiply something by 0, it cancels out. So what am I left with for an answer? Just Y equals -2. Okay? That's kind of a special case. Okay? When your slope is 0, it's gone. You don't have to write it. And what kind of line did we just say that is? It's a horizontal line. Okay? In fact, if you want to see I'll show you exactly what it looks like. It's a horizontal line drawn at -2. Everybody see that? It's kind of small, but you can kind of see it. All right? How about this one? Would this be a horizontal line? No. The slope of this one isn't 0. If I were to draw that one, -3x plus 1/2. There's a picture of what that one looks like. Right? Slanted, which direction? What kind of slope is that?
Negative.
That's a negative slope, right? Because it slants down and it crosses the y-axis just above the origin. Okay? All right, so the next kind of problem we're going to look at, they're going to give you a graph, and they're going to ask you to write the equation from a picture. It's pretty much the same thing. Okay? You're still going to use this formula. You're still going to find m. You're still going to find b. It's just now you're going to have a picture to look at. So, you want to go ahead?
All right, so we're going to identify, first thing you want to do is look at your graph, and you're going to identify where the line crosses the y-axis. All right, y-axis up and down or across? Up and down or across? Up and down, right? All right, vertical. All right, that's going to be your y-intercept or your b. For all these situations we have, whether we're given a graph, whether we're given the slope and y-intercept, we're always going to use, right, slope-intercept form. So we're going to use y equals mx plus b. Where the line crosses the y-axis, that's going to be our y-intercept or our b. All right? So we get the y-intercept. What else do we need? Besides the y-intercept, what else are we going to need? The slope, right? So here's what we're going to do. When we look at that graph, and when we look at that line, right? We know from last academic week, it's going to be a positive slope if it goes up to the right. So if it's up to the right, it's going to be a positive slope. So just to remind yourself on your line there, you want to write up to the right. Then you'll count from the y-intercept how many you're going to count up and then to the right. However many lines you go up to get to the line where the other coordinates on, count those lines to go up and then go across until you get to that point. All right, remember, you want, a lot of times, your slope is going to be a fraction. Remember, like we talked about last week, if it's over 1, then it'll just be that number. It'll be, say if it was 2, you counted up 2 over 1, it would be 2 over 1, your slope would just be 2. All right, any slope over 1 is just the number that's going to be on the top. So if it goes up to the right, it's going to be you look at it first and say, yep, it goes up to the right. Okay, it's a positive slope. I don't have to worry about putting any negative sign with it or anything like that. Now, we get a negative slope. That means it goes down to the right. Right? It falls down to the right. So we want to start from y-intercept, and we want to count down to the right. We want to go, rather than go up this time, we want to go down. Start from y-intercept, count how many lines you go down until you get to the line where the other point is on, and then count across. That's what you want to do. All right? And make sure that your number is negative. Like your top number, because you're going down, is going to be negative. But Mr. Hager and I will know if you make that top number negative, it's for everything. All right? It's for the whole fraction. All right? So we want to count down to the right. And remember, make sure, because you know it's going down to the right, you know that it's a negative slope. What letter, once you find your slope, when you write out your y equals mx plus b, you write it in slope-intercept form, what letter needs to be with the slope? The x, right? So make sure once you count everything, make sure you put x with it. Okay? So that's how we're going to do it based on a graph. I'm going to scroll down a little bit, guys. I'll leave this here. All right. So now, it gives me the graph. All right? What two things should I start with before I do anything else? What two things should I start with? No, before I even do that, doesn't really involve any math, any counting, any identifying, anything like that. What should I start with? What's the formula say to start with? Y equals, right? Good, let's do that. Y equals. All right, then even easier than counting to find the slope, what can we find first? What do we say to do? What was that first bullet we said to do? Identify what? Y-intercept. And that's going to be where, Vanessa? -3, right? It's where the line crosses the y-axis. There it is right there. That's where your line crosses the y-axis. So I'm going to put a -3. Now, this line, someone tell me by raising their hand, positive or negative?
Positive.
It's a positive line, right? So how did I say to, Ashley A, how did I say to count from the y-intercept? Up and to the right. I want to find a good point, like a point that's like right on the graph, all right? I'm going to use this point right here, all right? I want to use this point right here because it's right, it's in a good spot. This wouldn't be good because it's not directly on an intersection. Up here, it's not directly on that spot. I want to use a good spot where it crosses perfectly. So I'm going to count up. Let's see how many I go up. 1, 2, 3. I go up 3. That's going to be my top number. Remember, it's a fraction. I'm going to go up 3. Then am I going to go right or am I going to go left? Up to the right. From here, I count over because I went up to the line where, I mean, I could have gone all the way up to here, right, where the other point was, but we would have had to reduce. You don't always have to use this point. If you see a good point where it crosses that line perfectly, that's fine. It's not always going to be where it crosses the x-axis. It might be. I just picked this one because it wasn't in between the lines. It went through perfectly. That's why I chose to use it. So I went up 3. Jordy, how many did I go to the right? 2. So that means my top number, my bottom number. Bottom number. Very good, Jordy. Jordy, anything else I need to include in that equation on the line? Everything's good. Not missing anything. Good. Like Melissa said, put the x next to the slope. Now I'm done. All right? There it is. Y equals 3 over 2x minus 3. Right? Now that's my equation of this line right here. All right? Just follow the steps and you'll be fine. All right, guys, and Mr. Hager might have told you guys, we're only going to do one example today of each thing. So at the end, we can give you guys some time to go over everything we've done this week. We can do some of the stuff we did on Monday and Tuesday. I can do a couple of those at the end. And a review of some of this stuff. All right? Now, next thing we're going to do is, so now we've talked about when we've been, it says the slope equals this number and the y-intercept equals this number. Plug them into y equals mx plus b, set up your equation. Great. We get a little bit more difficult. Now we get a graph. Now we get a count. All right, we got to see where it crosses the y-axis for our y-intercept. Then we got to count, rise over run to get our slope. All right. Now, next thing we're going to do is we're going to get 2 sets of points. All right. It's going to give us 2 coordinates. All right. It'll be like one set and another set. All right. It can be any number, positive, negative. We're going to keep it to single-digit numbers, guys. There might be some negatives, but we don't ever give you any double-digit. Same deal. Everything we do, we're going to use y equals mx plus b every time. All right. Next thing. Now, for the ones that we do, the set of points that has the 0. There's going to be one set of points that has a 0 in it. All right? The other number with that 0 is going to be your y-intercept. All right? We might give you a 0 here. We may give you a 0 there. But whatever the other number is with 0, that's your y-intercept every time. Every one we give you, every question we give you set up like this, we'll have a 0. Just say the other number with 0 is going to be my y-intercept. Right? Very simple. It's going to be in the same set of parentheses. So whatever the other number is, it's going to be your y-intercept. You don't have to do anything else besides that. All right? So set of points, the number that isn't 0 in that set of parentheses is going to be your y-intercept. Very simple. Sometimes you can get a little bit more advanced with this stuff, guys, but we're not going to do that. We're going to give you a 0 every time. You just identify it. All right? Next. Now, for this, all right, you got a little blank there on your thing. You've got it. Let's say you can't go over there because it'll just cover that up, because I used this from the beginning. It said, like, rise over run, so I just blocked that out. That's why it looks like that. We're going to use a slope formula. This is to find slope, all right? So we're going to use y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1, all right? And that will give us our what? When I do that, what's that going to give us? Slope, all right? So this will be our slope. And in the formula, y equals mx plus b, what is slope represented by? What letter? M. Good. I'm going to say, good. There you go, buddy. All right, that's going to be our slope or our m. So you're filling in blanks for y-intercept or b. You got to make sure you write in your formula to find slope, write the word slope, and then write in the letter m. All right? Let's go down. So, guys, did I give you the set of points on there? No, so make sure you write this in. I don't care if you write the little symbol for and, it doesn't matter. All right? You can just write and, or you can just write both set of points with no and in between. It doesn't matter. I don't care how you do it. All right? So we get -3, 5, and 0, -1. So we'll write the equation of a line that passes through these points. So, first thing, can someone tell me, what's the first thing we want to find? The easier of the two things to find. What's it going to be? Y-intercept is going to be easier, right? Maggie, what did we say the y-intercept was going to be for this type of problem? What did we say the y-intercept was going to be for this type of problem? It's going to be b, right? How am I going to find it in this type of problem? Look at that second bullet. So which set of points has the 0? The second, this is the one we should be looking at to find our y-intercept. Which number there is going to be our y-intercept? Say it again. -1. The set of points that has the 0. The other coordinate is going to be your y-intercept. So in this case, it's going to be like Maggie said, it's going to be -1. All right, so we know I'm just going to write b, that means y-intercept, equals -1. We're going to need that later. All right? If I was going to label these points, x1, y1, x2, y2, Babe, how would I do that? So what would this be, babe?
X1.
X1?
Y1.
Excellent.
X2.
Very good.
Y2.
Sometimes, again, if you can see it, that's fine. A lot of times, I like to label it, right, so I can find my slope. All right? I'm going to draw my line. I'm going to put 2 minus signs. Remember, the minus signs are part of the formula. They have to be there. Right? So it's y2 minus y1. So even if your y1 was negative, the negative would still go there. If your x1 was negative, the negative would still go there. And that will change what's going on in that type of problem. But you need to make sure just because, maybe if your x1 has a minus sign, you might think, oh, it's just going to take the place of that. That's not the case. All right? You'll put the 2 negatives in a row. You have to make sure you do that, because people forget to do that sometimes. So, here's my formula. y2 minus y1. Nini, help me fill out that top row. Mr. Hager, you going to do it?
No, I like it.
Oh, he's putting boxing, okay. Help me fill out that top row.
-3.
So, y2 Negative 1. Good.
Minus 5.
Y1 is 5. Good, that's the top row. Trenton, help me fill out that bottom row.
0
Y, x2 is 0, good.
minus negative 3.
Minus negative 3. Very good. Right, we got the minus sign there already. Now we're going to put the negative 3. Before I go on and do any type of math, does anything need to change? Exactly, good. We have a situation where we got 2 in a row. I'm just going to make it plus. So on the top, I got a negative 1 and a negative 5. When I combine those, Emily, what am I going to get?
A negative.
Negative what?
6.
Excellent, right? Keep the sign, add the numbers together. Perfect. On the bottom, Derek David, 0 plus 3. 3. Now, when I'm doing, when I get to the end, all right, when I'm doing slope, what do I have to make sure that I do? Who can tell me? What do I have to make sure I got to do? Yes, like Emma just said, simplify. Emma, can I simplify this? I can't. What will I get? 2. Careful. Negative divided by a positive. Negative. All right? So I don't want to write all those steps again, guys. If there's a bigger number on the top and a smaller number on the bottom, see if the smaller number can go into the bigger number. If it can, great. Simplify. If this was the other way around, 3 on the top, 6 on the bottom, we divide both the top and the bottom by 2, it would simplify out to 1 over 2. Right? So always when you get to this part, look to see if you can simplify. Always look to see if you can simplify. So I just solved for what letter in my equation? I solved for my b here. I found it as negative 1. What did I do? I just got the slope, so what's that? The m, right? So m is going to equal, Mr. Hager's going to write it in, m equals 2. Now, does anybody, before we even get to that point, what is my equation? Always going to start with y equals every time. Very good, guys. Y equals. Ariel, do you think you know what's going to come after that? Negative 2. Very good, because that's my slope. Jordy, what needs to go with my slope so I know it's slope? What letter?
Y.
No, I already got the Y.
Oh,
So
okay.
X, right? Make sure you always put the X with the slope. All right? Isalise, last thing?
Minus 1.
Minus 1. There you go. That's the line that will go through those 2 sets of points. All right? That will go through it. Mr. Hager knocked it off with a nice little smiley face for all you guys. All right? So we got one more way that we're going to use the slope-intercept form today, and then we got one word problem, and then we'll do some review at the end. All right? People feeling okay about this stuff? I thought today would go a little bit better because we've kind of seen slope-intercept before. It's not new to us, but that absolute value stuff, the last couple days, we haven't seen a whole heck of a lot of that. All right? One more type. All right? There we go. All right, so now it's going to say, it's going to say, using a linear function. It'll give you f of 0 or something like that. Stuff we talked about before. So using a linear function, same thing. We're going to have to put it in y equals mx plus b. But we just have to know what certain things, it's almost like a code. We need to know what certain things are going to code for.
And this is really, this is going to be exactly the same as the last type. There's no difference between this type and the last type.
Yeah.
They're the same thing.
Same exact thing, just written a different way.
Yeah.
That's all. All right? So, remember guys, we talked about this? Say if I put f of 2. And we talked about that. We've talked about that a couple times. What can that also mean, Josh? It means y, right? When we get the f of 2, all right, that really means y equals. All right, that's his code for y equals. All right, so let's go down. Let's keep that in mind. So the thing that's inside here, that's inside the parentheses, the number that's inside the parentheses, that's my x. All right, so the number that's inside here, this number, the number that's inside the parentheses, that's going to be your x. That's going to be your x coordinate. All right? Mr. Hager's adding more to the example up there. So the number that's inside the parentheses is always your x, always your x coordinate. All right? Now, the number after the equal sign, is your y coordinate. All right? The number after the equal sign is the y coordinate. We just said y equals. All right? So whatever comes after the equal sign is going to be your y. It says f of 2 equals, whatever number comes after the equal sign is your y. All right? Now, when it says this is at the beginning, all right? So when the equal sign, it says this, f of 0 at the beginning. So f of 0 equals whatever, 2. All right? That's going to be your y-intercept, or your b. So when it's followed by, when the equal sign has f of 0 at the beginning, that's going to be your y-intercept. Just like we dealt with before. When we had a coordinate that had 0, we knew the other number was going to be our y-intercept. Same thing with this. Same exact thing. Whatever number after the equal sign, that only when the number inside the parentheses is 0. That's the only time that it's going to be the y-intercept. All right? So like in this case, the y-intercept would be 4. Now, if I was going to write this out as a coordinate, what would the coordinate be? So the 0 would be my what? Remember I said the number in the parentheses is the what? The x. Here's my x. The number after the equal sign is the y. So, what should Mr. Hager type in for the coordinate? What should it be? 0, 4. There you go. Perfect. So we're just taking like function notation and putting it into coordinate notation to be able to do this. But it's the same exact thing. It's going to give us two sets of coordinates that is going to be written a different way. And like we just did, we're going to label x and y just like we did here. All right, there's my x, there's my y. Number in the parentheses is x. Number after the equal sign is y. Same as before. We'll use the formula to find slope. y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. Now, just like we did in the last one, by doing that, Bay, what will I find? When I do this, when I do y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1, when I solve that, what does that give you? No. Shannon? The slope. This is the slope form, right? That's the formula to find slope. That's going to be we're going to find slope, or what letter in slope-intercept form? M. Or our M. So here we go. I'll give you guys a second. So what Mr. Hager did, guys, he just took both things. The f of 0 equals 10, and the f of 6 equals 34. He just took them and this kind of broke them off so you could see them. So you can kind of pull them out of the problem. Okay? So let's look at that. Can someone tell me, by raising their hand, can someone tell me what the y-intercept is going to be? What's the y-intercept going to be looking at this problem? Someone tell me by raising their hand. KD. 10, right? B is going to equal 10. KD. Why did you say that? 0, right? When we have it, whatever comes after the 0, that's always our y-intercept. That's always the b. Now, Mr. Hager wrote out each one. He took this one, pulled it out, brought it down here. You don't have to do this, we're showing you guys. He took this one, pulled it out, brought it down there. So, Hannah, can you tell me, can you put this in coordinate notation for me? Like something, comma, something? 0, comma, 10. Perfect. Excellent. Dominic, can you give me this here in coordinate notation?
6,
Yeah, it's simple, and it doesn't really, the order doesn't get changed. The x is still first, the y is still second. We're just going to take it and put it in parentheses. Now, you don't have to do this. You can just look at the problem and say, okay, this is going to be my x, this is going to be my y, this is going to be my x, this is going to be my y. You can do that too. You don't have to break, we're just showing you guys how it gets set up. Now, Aiden, let's label these so we can put them in the slope formula. We're going to find the slope now, right? Let's label these so we can do it.
0 will be x2.
You want to do it that? You can do it that way. That's fine. Okay?
And 10 will be y2.
Excellent.
And x will be
Yeah. Aiden's not wrong when he does this, right? Aiden's not wrong when you're taking notes, right?
Yes.
Looking up things, movie videos.
Nope.
Shut that down, please. I don't want to watch SpongeBob. All right? When my son gets old enough, you go over the house, you show him SpongeBob, okay? It'll be like a big day. All right. So we got this. When Aiden did this, this is fine. He put these first. I mean, he labeled these as the second ones. That's fine. But if he did this as x2 and that is y1, that doesn't work. You've got to be consistent. But the way he did that is fine. Let's write it out. Let's put our 2 minus signs. All right. Someone help me.
Me.
Yeah. Marissa, give me the top row.
10 minus.
Oh, I wrote the wrong thing here.
Yeah.
Y1. All right, so you said 10. All right.
34.
Minus 34. Got a little,
I did one more do.
yeah, you want to do the bottom? That's fine, Marissa, you can.
0 minus 6.
0 minus 6. Excellent. All right. Let's do the bottom first. Side. Can you help me with the bottom? 0 minus 6. Excellent. Thank you, Side. Top's a little bit tougher. Let's break it down. Antonio, is my answer going to be positive or negative on the top?
It's going to be negative.
Negative, right? How come?
Because 10's a lot smaller.
Exactly, good. It's going to be negative. We got the negative sign there. Now let's just read it this way. 34 minus 10 is what, Antonio? 24. Now, look at this fraction. What do you have on the top and the bottom, Jordy? What do you have on the top and the bottom? I know we have numbers, but what else? Well, they're both negative. So what's going to happen? No. What is this, Jordy, what does this line mean? What math operation? Guys, we're almost done. Stick with me. Huh? Divide, right?
Yeah.
Negative divided by negative, what do I get? Positive. All right? So, negative 24 divided by negative 6. 4, right? So, what letter did I just solve for? M, right? When I use that formula, that's always M. Like I said for the last 2 or 3 problems we've done, what do we always start with?
M.
No?
Oh.
B.
Y equals. When we get to the point we're going to write it, when we're going to write out in slope-intercept form, we're always going to start with Y equals. We're always going to start with Y equals. Derek David, What's going to come after the equal sign?
Oh,
Y equals mx plus b. So what's going to come after the equal sign? 4. Very good. Jordy, I'm going to ask you again, my man. What number needs to be with the what letter needs to be with the slope? Thank you very much, sir.
Yours,
Sir.
Last but not least, Ashley Binkowski. Do I have to put? Plus 10. Then I'm done. There it is.
Y equals 4x+10.
Yeah. Y equals 4x plus 10. So it was just written in function notation. We just then need to know how that translates to coordinate notation. Same exact thing we did before, but just written a different way. All right, Antonio?
Does pi ever end?
You can ask this guy. He's the math expert.
No.
No.
Just do
Alright.
numbers every day.
All right, so everyone sees how this example and this one really are the same thing? The last one they gave you coordinates directly. This one you had to figure them out. Okay, so last problem we're going to do is going to be exactly like the previous two. You're going to have to figure out two coordinates. Right? So we're going to come up with what's called a linear model. Okay, what does linear mean? What kind of picture is that? Straight line. Okay? We've done other things. Maybe I think we looked at a couple graphs that might have been curved, but this is going to be a perfectly straight line. So what is the equation of a line? Josh? What's the equation of a line? Yes, you do. Come
We
on.
talked about it a bunch today.
Oh, Y equals
Y equals mx plus b.
Yeah.
Okay? So what they're going to give you in a word problem, okay, they're going to give you some information. They're going to give you 4 numbers. And your goal is to take those numbers and make two coordinates. Okay? So somehow you have to take what they give you and make 2 coordinates. Then if you can take the word problem and figure out 2 coordinates from it, then it's exactly like this. I'm going to go right back to it. Okay? You just have to figure out what are my 2 coordinates.
So you want to write everything from after I'm sorry. So you write to take the information given in the word problem and create 2 coordinates from it.
And then once we have 2 coordinates, what do you think we're going to do with them? We're not just going to stop with the 2 coordinates.
We're going to graph it. We're going to make a line.
Are we going to draw the line, or are we going to find the equation of the line? Have we done any drawing today? No. What have we done, though? Instead of drawing the line,
Found the equation for the line.
Exactly. You're going to find the equation of the line. Exactly what you said. Okay, so this step you guys already did in the last example and the example before. This is the step that's new. You've got to look at the word problem and figure out the coordinates. Now, anytime we gave you guys coordinates, one of the coordinates always had what number in it today? 0. So that's going to probably come up in this word problem. One of the coordinates is going to have a 0. Or there's going to be a 0 in the word problem somehow. That's how it's going to be on the notes. That's how it's going to be on the test. Okay. Okay. Does everybody have a copy? Mr. Roy mentioned this earlier, but if we didn't give you a coordinate with a 0, you can still do it, but there's some extra steps. We're going to get to that later on. Not today. Yeah, I know. It's exciting stuff. Okay. Anybody else needs a copy? We're still copying? Sure. All right. You guys already have the word problem printed on your paper? All right. So let's just read through it and see if we can figure out what our coordinates are going to come from. It says U.S. power plants used renewable energy to create 105 million megawatt hours of electricity, okay, in 2007. By 2012, they produced 219 million megawatt hours. We want to write a linear model that represents that situation. Okay? That's what they're asking us to do. All right, so what I've done is I've highlighted the numbers that are important. These are kind of the numbers that are going to have something to do with our points. Now, it says to write our equation in terms of number of years since 2007. So let's look at the two numbers in green. And let's figure out how far away each of those numbers are from 2007. Let's start with 2007. How many years away from 2007 is 2007? 0. 0 years since 2007 means 2007. Okay. The next year is 2012. How many years since 2007 is 2012? How many years have gone by? Okay. 5 years.
Hey guys, if you can't count them, just do 2012 minus 2007. It'll give it to you.
Okay, so this was the one for 2007. This was the one for 2012. How many megawatt hours of electricity were produced in 2007? That's going to go in this top box. 105. Now, 5 years later, in 2012, how many megawatt hours did they produce? 219. So,
Guys, you don't have to write it out as a million or anything like that. Just 105 and 219 is fine.
can somebody turn this first line into a coordinate for me? 0, comma, 105.
Good.
And how about the second one? Right. Now from here, the word problem is done. Okay, you can forget about the word problem and pretend that Mr. Roy and I gave you these two coordinates. Okay? Just like in this problem. We gave you two coordinates. Find the equation of the line. All right? So who can tell me, what do these coordinates tell me? Something is basically given to me in one of these coordinates. Yeah. Which number, how do you find the y-intercept? It's always the number with, it's next to the 0. So what's my y-intercept? 105. And what letter is it? It's going to be B. All right, so I'll come back to that, but I still need something else. I need M. All right, so we're going to set up our formula. And now we can label these. Okay, that's how we've been doing it. So somebody tell me, what could 0 be? How's the coordinate work? What letter always comes first? It's alphabetical, right? X before Y. So this could be, okay, it could be X2, sure. How about the one next to it? That's going to be Y2.
You don't put it as Y1.
How about the 5? And 219? Y1.
What?
Okay,
No, guys, if you put 0 and 105 as X1 and Y1, that's fine. It's just what we write here will be different. That's all. You didn't label it wrong, right? You can do it either way. It doesn't matter.
okay.
Put 5 as X2, that's fine. So you said 0 was X1. That's fine, you can do it that way too, all right? If you do it the way we set it up will be different, but if you set up the way you do it on your table and do the math, you should get the same thing.
Now, I usually do the second one as x2. That's probably how I would have done it, but this will work. What's going to go in the top row? What minus what? And which one comes first, y1 or y2? So y2
Y's have to be on the top. Don't switch it. Don't put x's there. Don't do x and a y.
minus 219. All right, and on the bottom? 0, yeah? Minus 5. Okay, the bottom, I think we should be able to do that. What's 0 minus 5? Negative 5. For the top, we'll just type it in. 105 minus 219 is negative 114. Now, is there anything there that would cancel out?
The negatives.
Yeah.
Yeah. You have a negative on the top and a negative on the bottom. It's going to become positive.
And that we can't reduce. Okay? The only number that could possibly go into 114 is 5. Does anybody know how I know 5 doesn't go into 114?
It's not even.
The last
Because
number.
it's odd and even.
Well, 5 can go into odd numbers.
It's
Like-
not, it's always not 0 or 5.
Yeah.
Yeah, for a 5 to go into that, it has to end in a 0, like 10, 20, 30, or a 5, like 15, 35, 45. That doesn't. So that's it. That's our, what letter is that? That's my M. So now I've got everything I need to now write the equation. So how does my equation start? Y equals. And what comes next? Shannon? 114 over 5. X plus 105. There's my equation. Now, quick question. If I plug in 5 for X, what should I get for Y? If I plug in 5 for X, I should get 219 for Y. Let me type it into my formula. Let's see if my formula actually works. Okay. I'm going to type in, just checking my formula to see if it really works. Okay, how would I check it? What would I type in first? 114 divided by 5. Okay, then what? Well, what are we filling in for X? What did I say to fill in? 5. Plus what? So when I fill in 5 for X, what am I hoping to get? I'm hoping I get 219 for Y, and I do. Okay, so my formula works. Okay, I just checked it. All right, so Mr. Roy just passed out some examples we're going to do in class. Yes, to answer the homework question. We will have homework tonight on 4.1. Tomorrow, we're not doing in-class review or MCAS. Tomorrow is our test. Okay? Half day Friday. This class will be about an hour. If you need time to finish the test, you will have it. So don't rush through it tomorrow. You've got plenty of time to take the test.